according to the budget that has nothing for the middle class, nothing for the middle class, that will see 140,000 people lose their jobs in the next 12 months. According to the Sydney Morning Herald, the Albanese government will spend $159 million over 4 years to give every MP an extra staff member. Why? To cope with their increasing workloads due to larger constituencies and the growing demands of social media? Seriously, they're already paid $200,000. Yet the demands of social media. I must feed the TikTok beast. I need another staffer. They're going after your business. They're making your business pay more. Remember, prior to this budget, you could write off any asset you bought for your business against your tax. Now, they've brought it down to just $20,000 turnover, not profit, turnover, goes down to only a few $1 million as opposed to, again, an unlimited amount of money. Small business, yet again, cops it right in the ear. But the people who fly at the front of the plane, thanks to you, who earn $200,000, thanks to you, who are at no risk of losing their job in the next 3 years, sadly, not thanks to us, are getting an extra staff member because of the pressures of social media. In the meantime, you want to talk about where you could spend $159 million? I have a suggestion for the Treasurer. The next time he's thinking about the pressures of social media, what about the people who in part are suffering because of things like social media? Our kids. Huge news today that the Kids Helpline, which you remember we raised a couple of $100,000 for during the pandemic. Well, there is a world of hurt that is happening right now amongst the kids of this country. You remember when not after we just raised that money, but we went to their head office, we spoke to their counsellors. We've got plans to raise some more money for them later in the year, but it's a disgrace that we have to raise money when money's being piddled up the wall for an extra staff member because of social media. A call is made to the Kids Helpline every 80 seconds in Australia. That equates to 330,000 cries for help from children around the country every year. And despite the obvious demand, most of those calls are going unanswered. So if you're an MP who's looking forward to an extra staff member, maybe you could say no. Maybe you could donate that extra staff member's wage to the Kids Helpline. Of course, nobody will do that. You'll all just say you care about it. Another thing that comes out of this budget that, again, once you get a day later and you go through all the baubles and BS that comes out of Canberra and all the press gallery mucking around almost when it comes to budgets and surpluses and all the rest. There are currently 438,500 jobs that are available right now in Australia. Now, of course, the assumption is, we must get that filled with immigration. Get to that in a second. But last time I checked, there are quite a few Australians that are still on the unemployment queues, almost 1 million, that are here right now. But what about this? We learn, just before we get to the number, how many people do you think have been unemployed in this country for more than 10 years? Think about all the good times, all the bad times, but still, 10 years. How many do you reckon? 2,000? 5,000? Okay, maybe 10,000 people have not been able to find a job in the past 10 years. Answer? 40,000 people. 40,000 people have been on the dole for 10 years. Now, I have no doubt some of those people chronically unemployable for a whole collection of different reasons. I'll be kind and say about health. But I refuse to believe that a football stadium of people are unemployable in this country. In fact, to give you an illustration of just how many people 40,000 is, you know how we're spending $200 million, not on the Kids Helpline, but on a stadium in Tasmania, because Albo thinks, maybe I can flip Bass and Braddon. If I can bring them back, then I'll have a permanent majority of 83 seats. Of course, the AFL will magically also get behind my Yes campaign. Nothing, no connection whatsoever, of course. Well, guess what? That stadium doesn't have enough people to fit those that have been on the dole for 10 years. That's only a 30,000-seat stadium. To find a 40,000-seat stadium, you've got to go to Sydney. The old football stadium, now called Allianz Stadium, I think, 40,000 seats, which means when you look at anything in the football stadium, there's a seat for every person in Australia who's been on the dole for 10 years. Oh, but the extra staffing we need because of social media. Kids Helpline, pushed into a world of donations while 300,000 kids that are struggling have their phone calls unanswered. Honestly.